Hello TCT, I have to make this video really quickly because I have to get it uploaded tonight, but I didn't have enough time today because I had family over this morning and I had to do stuff tonight. So I'm eating dinner whilst making this video. I have a bow in my hair! Here's a story that I read out last week. I filmed it, but I didn't put it into the video because my video was so long. So don't freak out the fact that my clothes and probably the lighting will change. It's not a finished story yet, so I will put in a series of it later. Hope you enjoy. So I would like to read you my story that I've written so far on this piece of paper. So, it was a bright and sunny morning, and Mrs. Jinglybot journeyed to the land of San Francisco. And in this land of San Francisco are a lot of rabbits. And these rabbits are no ordinary rabbits, because they eat garlic. This story doesn't have much to do with Mrs. Jinglybot, or San Francisco, nor the rabbits who live there, and certainly not those rabbits' garlic-eating habits. No, because that would definitely turn out to be an extremely silly story, and no one wants to read an extremely silly story. That would certainly be boring, and would never suffice. That is why I am going to tell you the silliest story ever to be created in the history of mankind. This story does, however, start off with Mrs. Jinglybot and San Francisco, and does include an encounter with some rabbits and their garlic-eating tendencies. The encounter was with a girl called Trudy, who was being chased by a rabbit who claimed that she was the most beautiful thing he had ever seen and he must kiss her and make her his wife. But Trudy had no intentions of even looking at the rabbit, because she was sure that if she did, the rabbit might take that as an invitation to kiss her, and the thought of those lips touching hers and the obvious garlic fumes that would plague her mouth if she did. It was what kept her eyes forward and rushed her towards the airport, where her plane would leave and take her home to England. And from this wretched place, she muttered under her breath. Her pace began to quicken, as she could tell that the rabbit was catching up slightly. It wasn't too hard to keep the rabbit at her heel, and not enough forward to communicate. She had no luggage with her, only a backpack filled with 3 pens, a toothbrush, a pair of stockings, a white blouse, a pair of jeans, a grey overcoat, her phone, some bed socks, a hairbrush, bag of makeup, spare pair of shoes, a shirt with the words, "Please poop in someone else's pants," written on it, some scissors, a book on feet and how they can be useful when detached from bodies, a tape of recording of a cat dying, a trinomican shield, a city of tiny people, an oar, a bird cage, a candle, and some chewing gum. Finally, the airport was in her sights, and it wasn't too long before she was through the automatic doors that she hoped would separate her from the rabbit on her trail. She was half right. The automatic doors opened for her and closed just before the rabbit could get inside. But just as she breathed a sigh of relief, Mrs. Jinglybot came colliding into Trudy with such force that they both went flying into the nearest objects. For Mrs. Jinglybot, it was into a window, which smashed and she fell outside, but luckily not onto the hard concrete or in front of a car, but into a jumping castle. But most unluckily for Trudy, she was knocked into a bunch of people. The last person who she hit was the even more unlucky person, at that very moment, and was the person whom she landed on. I say unlucky at that moment because unfortunately for Trudy, the rabbit who was infatuated with her managed to make his way into the airport and instantly towards Trudy. She was still dizzy and didn't realize what went on, until a few minutes after it was over. But the rabbit found its way to her and jumped straight for her face so it could plant its lips upon hers. But in mid-air, in a puff, turned to confetti, and the person below Trudy began to stir. In a split second, Trudy realized the fact that she was on top of the person and sprung upright off the person. But the world went blurry from the instant rush of everything, and she collapsed to the floor. Hope you liked it. One last thing is that hopefully by the end of this week I will be getting my school computer back, so the quality of my videos will hopefully be a little bit better. So I'm going to end this video now. Bye!